Jurassic World. So Jurassic World is the fourth movie in the entire Jurassic Park franchise. This one is also not directed by Steven Spielberg. It's actually directed by Colin Trevorrow. And this one takes place 22 years after the original movie. Just like the original movie came out 22 years ago. And 14 years after the last movie, Jurassic Park 3, which everybody didn't like. Now, going into this movie, I honestly didn't know what to expect. Coming out of it, what I will say is this. If you go into this movie expecting it to be just like the original movie from 22 years ago, you're going to be disappointed, so don't. If, however, you go into this movie and you expect it to be its own sequel and its own movie with its own self-contained story while making references to the original three movies, then you're going to be in for a good time. And what a good time it was. Did I enjoy the movie? Hell yeah, I enjoyed it. I loved it. It was awesome. So the movie naturally takes place several years after the original Jurassic Park on the exact same island, Isla Nublar, and it's now a theme park. It's the theme park that John Hammond always wanted in the first place, and now it's finally there. It finally happened. It's his vision come true. The main characters, you have Chris Pratt as the main character, the obvious one, who's definitely, to me, the Alan Grant of the story. Seriously, he's even wearing the same color scheme. Look. You also have Bryce Dallas Howard, who is a manager or a heavy manager on the park who works almost all the time. And then you have these other characters, these two little kids who are brothers, and they're basically the children of the movie, just like the children of the first movie. Now, in terms of story, it's a pretty simple story. Kids go into the park, they enjoy themselves, and, well, they see dinosaurs. As for Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard, they're just basically managing the park. Chris Pratt is the raptor whisperer, as it were. And in the meantime, they've made a new dinosaur called the Indominus Rex, which is basically a very large T-Rex. What's interesting in this movie is that none of the cast members of the original movie are in here. Well, except one. There's B.D. Wong. He plays Henry Wu yet again. You know, the first guy from the first movie, the scientist, he's back here, and now he's been promoted to some bigger role, and he's the one who was behind making the Indominus Rex in the first place. So what happens? Does chaos happen? Come on. The whole premise of this series is something going wrong in a place where it's not supposed to go wrong. What do you think is going to happen? And when it does, it's kind of an interesting way. It's a very wild way. I'm not going to say it. I'll do it in a spoiler review. But it's a pretty interesting way of how things start breaking down. And not exactly in the way you would expect. Now, as far as that plot goes, it's kind of straightforward in some ways. You've seen the trailer, so you probably know how bad things are going to get. But in the meantime, the characters, the kids, the movie centers around them an awful lot. And, well, I don't mind that. I mean, they didn't do a bad job. They actually did pretty good. Really, every actor in this movie does really good. But the kids' story, their backstory, I kind of didn't care for it. Actually, there's a couple stories I didn't really care for at all. I just was like, get to the dinosaurs, get to the monsters and madness and all that shit. There's actually a subplot of some other sort that also is in this movie that really didn't need to be there. I felt like it was just there for the sake of extending the story a little bit. Speaking of which, the movie's back to being 2 hours long, so awesome. Just like a Jurassic Park movie should be. Now let's talk about another thing. The visual effects. The visual effects are pretty good. Now, when I looked at the movie, you can definitely tell that there's some CGI. Actually, a lot of CGI. And it definitely shows. It's not bad. It looks good. You can just tell. Things are different. Now, I would expect things to be different. It's been 22 years since they first used CGI with the first movie, so I would expect things to be improved a bit, and they could do a little bit more with it. One more thing I want to talk about. The Indominus Rex. The Indominus Rex, for lack of a better word, it's fucking awesome. Seriously, the way they portray it, every time it's on screen, I can't help but get chills. It's just that cool. It's a bigger T-Rex. It's a beefed-up T-Rex with serious attitude problems. And every time it's on screen, I just want to see more and more of it, and there's plenty of it throughout this movie. There's also plenty of Easter eggs throughout this movie and references to other films. There's one point at around the center of the film, right at the middle, where there's this huge, it slows down for a bit. And when it slows down, it's a big wow moment for me. It's almost like it tugged on my heartstrings a little bit. Oh my God. Now I feel really deep all of a sudden. I feel something right here in my heart. I'll touch on that later in another review. But for the most part, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I want to go see it again. I'm going to go see it again just because I loved it that much. Is it perfect? No. Like I said, there's some plot points and backstory in there that don't really need to be in there that I don't care for. It's definitely better than the last movie. Is it better than The Lost World? Kinda, a little bit, sorta. Definitely one of the great ones. Definitely a good use of movie. Definitely a worthy follow-up. Definitely a good movie. Definitely something you should go see. And it's definitely getting the gold ribbon rating from me. So Jurassic World, have you seen it? What did you think of it? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What was your favorite dinosaur in the movie? Whatever you think, leave me a comment below and tell me how you feel. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitter at AskJoyMike. Don't forget to subscribe to my blog. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click on the link below if you want to see more. And as always, I will see you around.